So Haifeng Ji is a postdoc in Jay Kizakiditsu's lab here at the Center for Blood Research. He has a Nature Materials paper that has just been published on his work that he's presenting this afternoon. So this is like the first public presentation.
So thanks so much for the introduction. So I'm so glad to be the selected one. And today I want to take this opportunity to share some of my concerns about how to design an anti-thrombotic surface. Okay, so as you might know, so artificial blood contacting materials are very essential for modern clinic therapies. Some biomaterials such as hemodialyzer and ECMO and cardiac stent are life savings, but those materials do not have the anti-thrombotic functions like our blood vessels. So usually there is a balance between in our body. So when the balance is coagulation and anticoagulation part. But when the blood comes into contact with those surface, the balance will lean towards the coagulation part. Okay, so now if we want to design an anti-thrombotic surface, we need to understand how those surfaces are actually doing to our blood system that makes them so active. The leading explanation is that so those surfaces can activate the intercoagulation pathway through the contact-activation. Basically, when factor 12 come into contact with the surface, the factor 12 become too prone to mutual activity with the precatecholine, and afterwards, so resulting in the factor 11 activation and follow the coagulation cascade activation, and eventually resulting in the thrombin generation and clotting formation. Based on this, if we intuitively believe if we can prevent the surface and factor 12 interaction, we may develop an anti-thrombotic surface. So actually, so this is the currently gold standard for designing an anti-thrombotic surface, and we call it anti-fouling surface. But there are two preconditions behind this gold standard. Why is it possible to completely prevent factor 12 absorption on surface from the blood? The second is does factor 12 remains bio-inert after dissolving from the surface? So yeah, just as mentioned by Prof. Ed, so we have published a paper. We developed about these two questions, and we give a new directions on how to design a thrombotic surface. First, we use a screening approach to identify is there any existing materials that can prevent surface-induced contact-activation. We try different kind of surface, include hydrophilic, hydrophobic, positive charge, negative charge, and metallic surface in their microparticle form. We incubate this surface with plasma, and to our surprise, we found that the plasma incubated with positive charge surface do not show strong contact-activation. Even though we get these clues, but we cannot directly use a positive charge surface because we all know this kind of surface are usually do not work with our blood. So just coincidentally, in our lab, we have developed a shorted positive charge macromolecules. These kind of macromolecules show low toxicity in our blood, so we can directly use it and modify it and direct coat it onto the surface and get what we now call the spike coating. The spike coating is showed good hemocompatibility, but I will skip the data in this presentation. Also, the spike coating is quite substrate independent. That means you can coat this spike coating onto any kind of surface if you want, and this spike coating can prevent the surface-induced contact-activation in plasma condition. We also confirm this concept is good anti-thrombotic functions in animal models. We use a rabbit arterial venous shunt model to prove this. So we found that after coated with the spike coating, the catheter remains open blood flows more than 30 minutes, and the clotting formation is significantly reduced compared to the uncoated one. We understand it's good anti-thrombotic function, and we want to understand the mechanism behind it. Unprecedented proteomics results showed compared to the highly procoagulant surface like glass, the spike coating are actually absorbing more factor 12. That makes us want to understand how the factor 12 interact with the surface. But in plasma condition, this understanding will go to become extremely complex. So we want to find simplified models, so that won't distort the result. And I also want to draw your attention that we created this model is very simple, and we can just prepare two single proteins and prepare the mixed solution of the precatecholine and the factor 12, and then we incubate the surface with the mixed solution. Afterward, we collect the supernatant and the colorimetric substrate S2302 inside. And we can determine whether the surface can trigger the contact division within 5 minutes. And based on this, in this model, the spike coating also shows a low contact division, low reciprocal activation between the factor 12 and the precatecholine compared to other surface like glass and like other neutral hydrophilic surface. And also so far, we have tried more than 10 kinds of surface, and all of the results in this model match very well in the plasma condition. And this result is very pronounced, and it means we may ignore the other kind of protein effect on this factor 12 and surface interaction, and we can only focus on the factor 12 and surface interaction in a solution. And so far, I think this phase of the research can be wrapped up here, and I can make some rough conclusions. So for most of the surface, when factor 12 come into contact with surface, it becomes conformation change, and change factor 12 can both absorb onto the surface or dissolve from the surface. Both of them will result in the contact division and the followed coagulation activation, but for the spike coating, neither of them will result in the contact division. And also, I can make some conclusions. The sheltered positive charge surface might be an effective approach for developing antithrombotic surface. And from a design perspective, controlling the interaction between the factor 12 and the material surface may be a more promising approach for designing antithrombotic surface. So in today's presentation, I focus more about the functional outcome, but few about the mechanism. If we follow in this direction, there's a long way to go, and here are some open questions. So please feel free to reach out to us if you are interested in any kind of the questions. And thanks for my lab colleague, and thanks for my amazing collaborators. Without you guys, I cannot reach here. And thank you all for your questions. Okay.
Good talk. So just simple question. So what's exactly how much charge of this spike coating, and also the roughness of the spike coating?
Yeah. For the overall charge, it's actually negative, slightly negative charge, because we use a polydopamine as a background. So the SPCM is the sheltered positive charge macromolecules don't totally cover all the negative charge. So overall, it's slightly negative charge, but it can still combine with other negative charge macromolecules like heparin. So that is about the surface charge. And for the surface roughness, it's just the typical polydopamine-based particles on the surface. Yeah.
You just said that it would interact with other negatively charged molecules. So is it, I noticed you went 30 minutes, I think, and still didn't get any thrombosis. But do you think it's possible that over time, say over the course of days or even just one day, that negatively charged proteins might accumulate there that then can serve as a surface for contact activation?
Yeah, I have to say it's another kind of scope, because if you focus on the long-term incubation, it's a factorial interaction with the monolayer build of the proteins on the surface. It's not directly control the factor via surface. You are controlling the monolayer protein absorption on the surface. So it's another kind of question out of the scope of this study. What's your first question?
Well, that's it. Just that.
Oh, okay.
That they'll modify the surface.
Yeah.
And possibly it'll lose effectiveness over time.
Yeah. I haven't tried that, but I guess it's another question. That is I answer. You are focused on we are focused on the monolayer protein. Once you put the surface in plasma condition, over time, they will attract a lot of unspecific protein absorption on the surface. And afterward, because you focus on long term, afterward, there is direct interaction between the factor 12 and already built the monolayer. So that is you are focused about. But in this work, we just focus about the very short term. So it looks like the same story, but indeed it's a two story.
Thanks very much.